Hi guys, and welcome to our Facebook Live video for this week. We're going to talk for the next 10 minutes about tips for choosing your immigration attorney. I'm Elka Osadnik and I'm the Head of Business Affairs with D'Alessio Law Group, and we're based here in Los Angeles and in Toronto and in London and in, look on the website, we're everywhere. And I'm going to try not to talk with my hands so much today. So first of all, I'm going to run through a number of tips if you want to take notes. Otherwise, we're going to put this up, some tips up on our Facebook page, D'Alessio Law Group. And you can always contact us via the page or via our website, dlgimmigration.com, if you have any questions after this. So first of all, when you're choosing a law firm, an immigration law firm, or probably any law firm, it's a really good idea to research. So basically, that may sound obvious to a lot of people, but a lot of people just take one name of a company and they just go for it. And it's probably not the wisest thing to do. There are a lot of different law firms out there that operate in different ways and have different processes. And I suppose we're talking about a decision that's going to ultimately impact your life in some way, whether or not you're getting a visa, which is short term or for the long term, or, you know, permanent residency. And so it may sound like a silly analogy, but I liken it to kind of going to a doctor and getting a diagnosis and then running with it and getting yourself treated. And you would normally probably think, I might get a second or a third opinion before I go ahead and do something to my body and have my life impacted. So it's really important to research your immigration attorneys. The obvious is referrals and recommendations. They can be absolutely fantastic. A lot of our business is almost 100% word of mouth. But it's really important with this one to check how long ago the person used the law firm. It's very common to see posts on Facebook or other social media about, hey, go and use this law firm. I used them, they were fantastic. And then you find out that that person used that law firm 10 years ago. The entire law firm may have changed. The turnover may be like 100% new staff. And you may have found out that, you know, that law firm had their glory days, but then since then there have been actually a lot of problems. So it's really important, I say to people, okay, well, that's great that you got those referrals. Just ask how recent they were. If it's someone who's just recently had an approval and they're saying, hey, I've just got this approved and they were fantastic and, you know, check them out. It means, yeah, that may be a great starting point, but still check them out and do some further research. Yelp is pretty big in the US, so it's a really good idea to check out some Yelp reviews. And also Google can be very interesting. We had a situation recently where someone wanted to go back to an attorney they had used previously who had been helpful. And when they Googled them years later to go back to them, found out that there were actually a whole lot of I suppose fraudulent charges up against that law firm. Whether or not they're founded or unfounded, I don't know, but it's enough to kind of, you know, raise a bit of a question mark against the law firm. So it's a really good idea to definitely go and research what you can, look on Google, ask your friends. Don't just take one piece of advice as gospel either. I suppose, you know, people have different opinions of the same law firm or same business out there, or same agent or manager. Some people can say that one manager is fantastic, someone else may not have had a great experience. So you kind of want to do that process of gathering your data before you make some kind of decision. Also, something to consider is how large the law firm is. There are a lot of people out there that may be a one-man or one-woman band. So whilst that is not to say that you may get, you know, you may feel that that's a great personalised service for you, it's a really good idea to try and establish how many other people or support staff are working for that person, because if you are one of many, many clients and that person has a tiny, tiny team, you really don't want to feel like that your case is going to go to the bottom of the pile because they are very, very busy helping a whole lot of other people. So it's important that you try to get a sense of, you know, is my case going to be your priority as soon as I sign up? And if you feel that you're going to be waiting months and months and months just for an attorney or a case manager to get to your case in the first place because they have a backlog of cases, then that's something that's absolutely going to impact your life. And when you're going through any visa process, there is a period of waiting, and that, as we all know, is kind of limbo, and limbo is not generally a pleasant place to sit for too long. So you want to minimize limbo land as much as you can. Okay, so next point is what should you consider when you go in to meet an attorney or meet with an immigration law firm? So first of all, most immigration law firms will give you a free consultation up front. But you want that consultation to not just be, oh, I'm going in to, talk to an attorney and find out how you do an O1 visa. The consultation should really be an assessment. You should be, in advance sending in material, sending in your resume, sending in, articles, extra evidence, whatever that you have, to be able to say, hey, this is all the stuff that I think I have that would be ready for this particular visa, and then have that attorney spend that time in the consultation with you, assessing whether or not they feel that you are close to being visa ready or fileable ready, so that it is really something which is specifically tailored to your needs and your case, because no two cases will ever be the same. So at DLG, a lot of people speak with myself or other consultants that work in the business who aren't attorneys, and we help those people who contact the firm to get the right information together, so we can then set up a consultation with an attorney, so the attorney can then sit and offer the legal advice in that one-on-one consultation. And of course, so many of our clients are overseas. Majority are contacting us from Vietnam, Russia, London, Australia, Canada. So it is very, very common for that consultation or assessment to take place via Skype. So if you're having a Skype appointment, don't think, oh gosh, this is kind of second best. It's actually fantastic, and it's very, very effective, and it's a way a lot of attorneys work these days. But of course, if someone's in LA, near our West Hollywood office, we always say, hey, just come on in and meet us face to face, because face to face is always the best thing you can do, really. So secondly, something that's very important to consider is that you may have your assessment and consultation, and one attorney may say, yeah, I think you can definitely get this O1 visa, but you may have just come from someone who said there's no way in a million years you're going to get this. That really comes down to the law firm and the type of visas they're experienced with processing. So again, imagine if you only going to a law firm and just, having that be one opinion and gospel, and that's it, you fly with it. So the other thing to consider is whether or not the law firm is actually consulting to you. And what I mean is, you can go in, and I've had this experience myself, and kind of wasn't, I suppose, I had some expectations of what I wanted to gain from my consultations when I was researching attorneys years ago. And this aspect didn't impress me too much about a couple of people I met with. And that was going in and an attorney saying to me, okay, you're here, you want to know one visa, this is the process. And me going, oh, okay, well, I want to know one visa, but ultimately I do probably want to consider a green card. And what you really want is to be consulted to. It's a consultation. So it's not about a slapdash, hey, let me give you 10 minutes and just run across, how you get this visa or that visa. You really want to consider who's sitting down and taking the time to say, okay, let's start with, what are your longer term career goals as you see them right now? Okay. So if that's kind of the end goal ultimately, let's work backwards from that and see what the best kind of strategy would be in terms of types of visas to pursue now that will ultimately lead to that end goal. Because you don't want to get sort of 5-10 years down the track and go, I could have been doing that in a much smarter way via a different visa route. So having dialogue with your attorney is really, really important. So that's something to look out for. And again, this is your time with the attorney. This is your, at DLG we give 1 hour. Sometimes it goes over. So this is your 1 hour with an attorney. So if you're feeling that information isn't forthcoming or you're not being asked the right questions, you ask that of the attorney. Just say, hey, let's please talk about the longer term goals, because these are my goals and I'd like to see how they fit in with what you're talking about. So the other thing is to consider, you want to ask the attorney, how do I work in with the law firm, with my case managers, in order to get together all my documentation? Like, okay, hypothetically speaking, if I hire DLG Law, how do I work with you guys to get all the paperwork uploaded, get everything to you? The case manager puts together the case. I know it's all accurate. Like, how does that work? You want to find out the process. And the reason being is that timeframes are really important to consider when you're talking to an attorney. It's really important that you ask, well, how long does the process take? And when I say the process, so many people come to us and say, well, I got told that so-and-so can do it in 3 months and have it improved in 3 months. Okay, there are different stages of processing that you need to be really, really aware of. The first is when you sign up with a law firm, you need to understand that there is a period of time where you are required to get your evidence and documentation to the law firm, and you are then assigned a case manager or senior case manager within that law firm, whatever they call them. And these are people who really do the grunt work and put together the actual case, together with an attorney who applies a strategy for that case. So the attorney's on top of it, but the case manager is actually doing the work. That's how we work at DLG. So you have this period of time where you're working with the case manager to upload this documentation, and you need to know, well, how does that all work? Just so you have an idea, is this doable for me? Okay, let me get an idea in mind as to what this is going to take on my part. So then from there, you get an idea of, okay, that's probably going to take 2 to 4 weeks. Unless it's a case whereby you're paying for an expedited service with immigration or something, and then there are different requirements. But in terms of preparing the case, that's a period of time you need to consider in terms of the processing of the visa. Then there's a second stage with, say, for example, a lot of artist visas where they go to advisory boards for advisory opinions. Like for actors, they may go to SAG or AMPTP. There's a period of time that case sits with SAG. There's a period of time it sits with AMPTP. The case doesn't go on to immigration until those advisory opinions have been received. That can take another 2 to 4 weeks. The case hasn't gone to immigration yet. Then the case will go to immigration and you'll be notified, you should be, by your attorneys. Then you've got the period of time that it sits with immigration. So you want to ask timeframes, you want to understand how that process looks. So then in terms of immigration and how long it sits there, you want to ask your attorney, how do they keep up to date with trends in immigration to know what current processing times tend to be and all of that. You want an attorney that has their finger on the pulse with that kind of thing. Also, you want to be aware of the costs involved. You want to ask your attorney, well, how much is this all going to cost? And I don't mean just find out a blanket number. You want to find out what are the printing costs, what are the photocopying costs, what are the postage costs. These are all costs that a law firm has to charge anyone. So you want to ask for a breakdown so that you're not surprised at the end of the day with some costs that you weren't expecting. And there are costs that go direct to immigration. A check is made out, we send it to immigration. So there are statutory costs that you cannot avoid in any way. And also, I always recommend that people ask our attorneys in their consultations, what are some common mistakes that clients have made in the past, so I can learn from their mistakes and not make the same mistakes myself. So, and you may have, a common one is an attorney may say to you, well, we have had clients that just disappear and don't upload their documentation in time, which obviously the onus is on you. Your case is only delayed because you didn't get us the information that we asked for. So you really want to be finger on the pulse, you know, just get going with getting that information through to your attorney. And then finally, I am a big one, actually 2 more points. I'm a big one on accuracy and attention to detail. You want to ask the attorney, like, how does your law firm make sure everything's accurate? Do you do double checking, triple checking before things are sent off to immigration? It's a very, very common problem that cases can be sent off and they have errors in them. A lot of people have come to us to redo cases that they've had done at another law firm, and then we see where the errors are, and they're very simple errors or typos or wrong names, that kind of thing. I mean, that affects everything. So it's really important that you're asking, how do you guys make sure you kind of avoid that and you're on top of it? We do double checking and triple checking here. It's a very, very thorough process. And then finally, customer service is a huge one. If you can't even communicate with your attorney or with a law firm to get a consultation, or with someone from that law firm, guess what? You're going to have a really hard time having that level of communication once you've signed up with them. So you want to make sure that there is some mode of communication that's going to work for you. So ask the attorney, how do I get to communicate with my case manager? Do we get to chat on email? Can I pick up the phone? Can I call my attorney who's on record for my case? Suss all of that out as well, because there's nothing more frustrating than sitting there waiting, wondering what's happening with your case, and you don't even feel that you have the ability to reach out and ask questions. It's your case. It's your right to ask questions and to understand what's going on. We have open lines of communication where our clients and our case managers are going back and forth constantly. The attorney on record is available to speak to about strategic matters to do with the case, and it's a two-way street. So, you know, going for any visa at all is about teamwork, and if you're not communicating, that's just going to fall flat. So there's some tips that I hope will help you with researching an attorney. And again, like I said, if you have any questions, pop them on our Facebook wall for Delesio Law Group, or go to our website and you can email us through there. And we'll see you next week for another topic on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Bye.